setting. It's called Champion Select, and you've selected the hard mode. He's back.
Returned. Lord Sothot, sure.
Destroyer of worlds, devourer of breadcrumbs. Look at the duck and bow down, tremble in fear.
I am more.
That was a lot more energy than I was anticipating at the beginning of the match. I'm sorry.
Well, you've got to herald his arrival.
Exactly. Be afraid.
I am. I'm truly afraid.
I'm trembling here,
Slightly
not just
more
in rage from Xerath being picked again.
I'm slightly more afraid for, yeah, basically all the skill shots which are going to land for MNM. Now, looking at these champions, you obviously have a bit of a scaling issue from the side of Bifrost, for the side of MNM, because you look at all of this damage that they get to have, and how unlikely it is to shut down all of these champions. Now, you do have the Zillion, that helps. Speeding up the Jhin for the fourth shot, that very much helps. You're just going to have to run into Azeri to do that. You're going to have to run into a whole barrage of damage coming from Bifrost. I think that MNM have put themselves into a fairly huge draft deficit. What they do have is barrels. They do have the ability to flash stun someone with the Volibear. That is definitely helps in regards to pinning someone down so you can land your skill shots for one time only. I just think that it's such a narrow win condition to win fights that MNM are going to have to play so far out of their minds to get Bifrost in the back foot.
What I'll also give to MNM is they've got 2 global to semi-global ultimates in the Xerath and the Gangplankers. We're giggling because Trouble is making trouble for us. She's going be casting here, Georgia. Love her, really. She's great. But what I was going to say was Cannon Barrage plus the Arcane Barrage plus Jhin is a lot of very long-range artillery. And if you can throw that bot lane onto a Zeri that is running Ghost to give her a little bit more mobility to help out with some of the ultimates, as Volcanon actually doing an okay job about landing some of those skill shots early. Potentially some of those bot lane dives around level 6 could be pretty catastrophic for MNM if they can make it work.
Yes, and I kind of agree with that. And, you know, Volibear, one of his specialties, is diving, but normally post 6. I just feel like you're giving a free pass to a lot of these lanes which Bifrost have to become relevant. You're going to get to 2 items largely on these two, on the 2 solo lanes. Bot lane, also, you know, we're seeing them trade fairly even in bot side, maybe slightly going to the favor of Mishku and Dr. Chaos. And Mishku actually had a lot of bans thrown against him in this champ slide. You actually rightfully pointed out to me when we were watching it out in the background. You know, the Jhin Zillion is okay in isolation, but I just don't see how it is going to help things like this mid lane, which is getting ganked right now, observers.
Royal Cannon is going to try and get out. Does survive for now. One final order does come through. He's going to try to turn it back with the Arcano Pulse. Not quite enough damage, and I thought it might be one more turret shot.
I apologize, Lord Observers. You knew nothing was happening. Taking us up to the top lane. You know those tower dives? Got a flash Volibear. Let's see how that one goes.
That's a stun. That's a barrel, and that's a trial by fire for first blood to the Mrs. GP. And the trade comes back.
Forms himself into a statue, goes into the ether. Fury back in this mid lane now after sadly not being able to shut down Real Cannon, but that's still going to be summoners away, going back to both of these. Let's see what happens with this dive, because you have level 3 to level 2. This is one of the most dangerous times to dive in the game. You don't have your Hallowed Mist at this point, because you're looking for your Empowered Qs. So Shikari does have the Empowered Auto attacks, but I mean, at the end of the day, Shikari gets hit by effectively everything.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a particular crazy outplay. Puts down the Ignite, gets the Empowered Q on. I mean, that's just a bit of a miscalculation for MNM to get the clean dive.
Does, of course, force Shikari to burn the teleport. Not on the best back ever, but does at least come back in lane. Did get the kill, which is good news. And so the old wisdom goes, back when Gwen was first kind of released, GP was considered something of a counter, because you could throw some of those barrels, you could poke up with the Q, you could force the Hallowed Mist on awkward timings, you got to scale, you got to ult elsewhere. It's become, I feel, less so as time's gone on and people have learned the champion a bit more.
Less crazy with your Q poke, because Grasp now counts as, well, your Q now counts as a ranged auto, so you don't get the full value on the Grasp. Q is now a lower cooldown for Gangplank. I mean, really honestly, we should have Jamada on for this, because he's the Gangplank connoisseur out of us on the NLC. But yes, the matchup has changed somewhat. Gwen's lost a lot of power, obviously, especially at that level 1, with the E steroid being not quite as powerful as it was in the past. But as you can see, Shikari, very proficient champion, got that killed. He was traded between top lanes, actually. Gets to teleport back, has the level 5 to level 4, but the wave is in a pretty bad position. And Kana has the ability to run this down.
Here we go again. It's the Ignite. There's no Ghost. There's only a skip and slash. It's already been popped. There's a Thundering Smash into the Stormbringer Apollo. Sky Splitter is the term, but Gwen becomes immune and does manage to get away, but taken to very low HP and likely forced to back. That is not a pleasant wave state for the Gwen.
less of splitting the sky, more like, I don't know, cracking an egg for an omelet or something slightly less violent, as all it does is particularly annoy the Gwen. Still had some of that refillable pot to chug through, and now you've got C-Boy coming up to that top side to reset for them. Got the wave in there, very helpful. This is good guy jungler, honestly. C-Boy making sure that the wave is actually going to reset and allow Shikari a ability to stabilize this lane again, although it actually looks like the Bifrost might be able to hold a slow push there and get that into another potential crash into the other side. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of minutes.
Odie and Duel did go for a little roam there, but of course there was a ward in that pixel brush, which spotted that out. Instead, they'll just have to place a wall beyond the mid lane wall in towards MNM.
Oh, he gets jungle.
Oh. Hive Destruction did go wide for once. And of course, we'll head back towards that bot side. And this is perhaps one of the bigger risks for MNM's lane in the bot side is Jhin Zillion. The later the game goes, the speed up with the force shot, pretty obnoxious. We've all been there. We've seen the combo that is the volley bear Jhin Zillion run extraordinarily well for JDXL, even so recently. But any lane that allowed Yumi to get through relatively scot-free and even allow Zeri to run a ghost, not a heal or anything, is pretty terrifying.
Now, the one lane where there's a bit of a caveat for that is some center lane. Center has been, at least in the scrims that I've been hearing about, somewhat of a Zeri answer. It's not perfect, but allows you to play front to back and allows you to use the center ult to kind of buff up your front line so Zeri doesn't just kite them down tilt forever. MNM going to use this moment to try and start out this dragon. No package from the Corki, looking to collapse on the top side.
Oh, that's a lot of damage from Cannon, who does get the kill, though! Somehow, some way onto C-Boy. I was not expecting that. The Cannon barrage, of course, from Babista, helping out there. He can help out with that level 6 having come through, and Gwen is still stuck in top side. Health bars are pretty low, and Odie could get something down here.
Oh, he just dies to the Comet!
Well, the Comet kills him, and they're going to still get a hold of the Dragon with a well-timed Eye of Destruction, but that was mighty close to disaster there for MNM.
Oh, that could have gone so much worse. Imagine if you started that a minute later and you had a package coming in there. Shikari didn't have themselves teleport to impact that fight as well. I'm gonna go back into a replay because, yeah, you're right. I mean, C-Boy just absolutely detonates. So how does this end up starting? You get hit by the Jhin W. I mean, that's just a lot of damage coming through. I mean, that's some very high base damages all in all. Does take a lot of health bars to finalize that killer because actually Fury gets a 3-man ultimate there. But look at the Comet damage.
Oh, it's a Dragon auto.
Picks up.
It's a Dragon auto.
Picks up the assist from our friendly neighborhood Draconic friend. And then MNM, I think they're very lucky to get that dragon at the end of that thing.
Comet into Dragon auto kills off the jungler, was waiting to be at the spike range. That is very fine margins, I think it's fair to say. And Yumi happily picking up the kill there.
Picking up the kill, and what that also means, because MNM have to reset the bot lane just after, we actually have a slight CS lead now from Odie and Duel. C-Boy heading up towards the top side to assist their ailing top planer at this moment, slightly behind in that farm because the amount of attention that Kana has managed to leverage up towards the Gwen GP matchup. And they'll use that as a segue into the Herald, and this could potentially help out that lane even more. I think if you get any significant amount of gold onto the Gwen, we've seen what Shikari does when you do get to that tier items.
Absolutely.
That's going to be a very difficult thing for MNM to contend with if the Gwen is taken off the chain.
We've had a number of very proficient Gwen players. Noodle actually having a phenomenal Gwen game the other day. Went something like 7-0 and 11 or something on the champion. Utterly disgusting.
Jaeger's had a couple of good
Yeah, exactly. And but I still think Shikari's probably putting his hand up as probably the best Gwen player in the league. Question mark, coming at me and tell me I'm wrong. That's absolutely fine. But
let me just get my phone. You are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be Nymera at me. Yeah, you're right next to me. Just talk me through it, mate. But, you know,
I don't get social interactions for that. Where are my metrics?
Where are my impressions on Twitter from talking to you in person? Who do you think you are? I see how it is. But Babista continue to try and be as problematic for this Gwen as possible, even if, of course, that Herald play might become difficult. It's a decent route coming through, forcing actually the Yumi will flash out in trade from Mishiku, who did have the ghost from Odie. Pop try and continue chasing. They can keep going under the tower. There's the heal, not quite enough. They're going to try and turn it around now with the curtain call. Odie so very, very low. Duel will be blocking. The final shot might come through. And just about gets out by jumping on at the maximum range. My days, that got close.
Yeah, and I know that Tom and Zeri, a bit of a slapstick performance from time to time, but that one was a bit more thrilling than I would have hoped for them. They have stuck around, they have some heals, they have a flash. C-Boy is still in the spot, so Dr. Chaos caught out.
He does have to flash and does get out, but that is another summoner popped. And MNM just about make this lane survive. We've, of course, both sides now down. Pretty much all summoners, though Duel's Ignite now coming off cooldown as I speak about it.
Okay, so trading of blows in the bot side. And again, like most of the trades we've seen in this game, not actually leading to any kind of particularly incriminating performances from either side. And now we're kind of waiting for the next dragon to come up. If MNM were to get themselves a second dragon, maybe you can start forcing Bifrost to come more into MNM's team position. But as it seems right now, it's like MNM are the ones encroaching on Bifrost jungle.
C-Boy being slowed down there for a moment, but Canna's deciding, yeah, I'm not sure how safe this invade is, especially considering you can see the Bifrost members starting to slowly converge, and they do back away. We'll call it out, though. The gold lead right now, a few hundred in favor of MNM. They did get that dragon, as we spoke about, relatively early before things like packages spawn, but for once, actually, that is, while it's a slight lead to about 500 of Fury, that is a Xerath that has survived the laning phase, I feel. Gangplank's done very well into the top side, and you heard Trouble call out, like, Babista's a fantastic Gangplank with a completely non-existent win rate. But he's doing very well in this game as well. Bot side's going pretty okay, and I kind of think for all the questions had at MNM, they're at least in a position to play the comp they wanted to, even if we maybe had some questions.
And this is the problem is not that they don't have damage, not that they can't win fights. It's just so hard to execute, as we're saying. As soon as the Xerath is locked in, is thinking, that's a lot of skill shots that you've got to land. C-Boy going to find out Canna has the Herald in infantry, but he's going to get locked down.
He is, and remember, there's still a Crescent Guard that could be popped. It's not quite off cooldown. Forces him to flash as a result. The heal's not going to be important, as, of course, the Curtain Call came through. I believe that was a Zoomies, not the heal, actually. That was what was getting me a little bit confused. Canna's now in trouble, has to flash out. Stuck around a little bit awkwardly, but will get sped up by Dr. Chaos and won't get hit by an Ultra Shock laser. And once again, both junglers kind of meeting and trading in this bot side of the map.
Seems like both teams are trying to start second-guessing each other. We see that first with C-Boy trying to get onto the volley, but doesn't actually realize how much danger they are from the continued follow-up. C-Boy actually going so low at this point, potentially can lower the ability of being able to stick around and get something good out of this Herald. Dr. Chaos actually going to be sticking towards that mid lane, but MNM choose not to contest it, going towards this dragon as well, stack that up for a second time. Who's actually going to get gold from this, though? I'm not sure if Fury is close enough right now, and indeed isn't. All gold goes to Xin Zhao.
I believe so. I don't think he got the auto to extend the range there as a result, and just didn't get in range for that. It means the gold only goes on to Xin Zhao, which is not what you want. I believe, unless there was a spectator bug, which might have...
I was keeping my eye out for it. Don't think he managed to get close to that turret. I believe has gone over to the jungler as C-Boy. So maximum Herald value not achieved. But with all that said and done, still within 1,000 gold, within half 1,000 gold actually are Bifrost. But MNM have some of those laning advantages. But now the question is, okay, all of these carries are going to start coming online soon with the first and second hyper spikes. It's going to be about executing on that. And MNM will really, really not want to give Bifrost an extended run at these fights with Corki and the ability to heal up with that Yuumi. That's the next thing I'm looking out for, actually. MNM, how are you going to set up for this? What's the actual battleground you want to fight on? Because for me, going towards one of these straight objectives, I can't see that working out cleanly for you.
Of course, for, like Gwen, Gangplank, both scale well. Xerath, Corki, both scale well, but Corki right now, utterly disgusting at 3 items. Jhin, Zeri, probably going to scale okay into this game. My issue then becomes like, okay, Yuumi, we've seen what that healing does late game versus, of course, Zillion ultimate, very powerful the late the game goes. I'm just not sure which one scales better. I feel like the Yuumi, probably just with the champions you've got for Bifrost, going to become a bit of an X factor potentially in this game.
I agree. I mean, Yuumi has effectively, I mean, the Corki's the only person you don't really want to be attached to, and even then you can do that as a form of disengage and to peel away from them. But everyone else is a fine candidate to take up the mantle of Yuumi and to start looking for these big skirmishes. And then if MNM do not respect that and Zeri comes flying over a wall with that dash on the E, things can get very bad for MNM. So I feel like Bifrost do have extra modes to play they can go towards. That's the next thing I'm looking for from the side of Bifrost. We kind of talked about MNM. You have the dragon stacked up right now. You're the ones with some of these pushing lanes. You kind of get to choose the next engagement around the big objectives. However, on the side of Bifrost, you have the ability to catch people out in side lanes. Is that going to be something you can set up before MNM start putting you into a difficult situation with a sole point?
What I will say is a potential answer into the Zeri. Dr. Chaos with the Zillion will have a time warp available to just nullify Zeri's movement speed. You can just slow her down.
It is a big old slow. Are you actually going to get in range for that?
That is a good question. That you're not wrong. And that was just one thing I was thinking, you know what? Considering you're thinking, well, how do you get a hold of the Zeri? Well, maybe that's potentially a way of doing it. And of course, even though Corki's got excellent range with the rockets, you're still dealing with the Xerath, which is pretty good range. Gangplank with barrels and then ultimate. Jhin ultimate, the W as well. I can see some angles here, but like you're right, Bifrost once again get hold of this Herald. Still got to worry, like maybe you got answers, it's just not easy.
The reason they're going to do that is because actually it was a bit of an odd package timing, is actually Fury does still have the package stakes to that extended gout of flame and potentially catching someone out, but this is not on a dragon timer. They're not actually not using this to commit towards the dragon. They're using it to secure a Herald, making sure that is done and dusted. And of course, Bifrost don't have a first tower yet. I wonder if they think, look, we can't really force the issue on the next dragon. We don't want to come into them even with the package. Let's get ourselves a known victory, which can actually give us the ability to punch an overextended target later, as Odie is going to get rooted.
Now he's in spot mother. He's going to get stunned in the tower. That will force the Ghost and the ultimate out from Duel.
Oh, double ults.
Fires so many double ults, but the artillery barrage won't quite secure the kills. It'll force Odie away from tower though, and the ultimate out of Seaboy, who is trying to disengage for his team. It will also potentially cost them mid tower here.
Well, that's a really big shift, because actually MNM kind of see the awkward time in the package and they go, okay, what are you going to do to respond to mid lane?
So
Can Seaboy
much
even live?
CC! He's going to go back in and get knocked out, and Duel at least gets off the Jin's out before he falls and gets out. MNM with the vast quantity of zone control.
Look, so part of me wants to really praise MNM for understanding the position that Bifrost put themselves into with where they were lane assigning, with how they were using the package, how Shikari isn't able to impact these fights. On the other side, Bifrost are being super disrespectful around this mid lane turret. Zeri does have some wave clear. It's not a great amount, nor are you tanky right now. You don't have, you don't even have like a huge amount of healing onto the Yuumi right now. It's still fairly early into the game. MNM group up, they find a brief moment to deathball down into this mid lane, and they hyper punish the over-eagerness of Bifrost to try and defend this tower.
And I kind of have to call it out at this point. Bifrost, after their great win against X7, had been a bit inconsistent, bluntly. They dropped an Ariki. They had a really rough early game, honestly, against Singularity only on Monday. The last place winless team. This is another now early game where they have dropped a few kills, dropped a few interesting plays, which should have gone a bit wrong. As Canna might be also being in trouble. Remember, there's still the Zillion ult that's off, on cooldown, so he might just burn down, does get out alive, but is now going to have to retreat, and Shikari will help secure this tower. But Canna just about gets out of that one. He was in a spot of bother there for a moment.
That is a big win, though, for Bifrost, unlocking that mid lane out of Terra. Now you have an exceedingly long mid lane on the side of both sides. I think that plays into Bifrost's favor. Actually, they're going to get themselves a dragon off the back of this, too. A slight overstep from Canna this time actually leads to a lot of follow-on implications into Bifrost's advantage.
And it stops the dragon stacking. Mountain Soul Point not acquired by MNM. That is a big deal. First items, now largely come through as well. And you can start to see the Bifrost comp beginning to come online in a scary way. Gwen and Corki, the closer they get to 2-3 items, the more dangerous they become, as Odie might be a target of a gank here. How fast can Canna get with that time warp?
And this is one of the big things about having the extended lane in the mid lane. Yes, you can use the E to start getting out over the terrain, but think if you're the Xerath. If you don't have two people with you at all times, Zeri's just going to run you down. That's the real worry I have for MNM. If you have extended lanes, that seems to me to favor the package, favor the Yuumi, favor pretty much everyone inside of Bifrost. MNM need to keep things constrained. They don't want the map to be wide. They want to make sure that they're the ones dictating the lane assignments. And actually, Bifrost have found a moment to take that conductor role away from MNM.
For now, of course, Babista continuing to do very well in this side lane, up a fair amount of CS, has been quietly doing a very good job after the early ganks that came his way. But of course, that's still traded for Fury, who's managed to get a similar sort of advantage in mid lane over the Xerath right now. And yes, of course, Michigu's been picking up a little bit more of the farm, which perhaps has hurt Fury, Royal Cannon's own CSing. But the game, while it is, MNM's favor in terms of the gold, we've already mentioned how things get difficult with the towers going down, difficult in terms of remaining safe on some of these champions if they don't have members around them, and that will hurt the ability to efficiently acquire farm and stuff as the game goes on.
So we're starting to hit item tower spikes now. Let's just touch in on that before we have the next big confrontation, because of course there's no Herald now at this point, so both of them been taken. Dragon's not there for a little while either. Triforce and Zeri, we talked about that extensively, about why that's very important. Of course, Triforce has that passive where every time you deal damage to someone, you get some increasing move speed, some increasing attack damage. Zeri gets to proc that immediately with a single Q. It just adds again to the injury of what would happen to you if you do allow Zeri to run you with an extended lane. So again, MNM just cannot go anywhere outside of the safe comfort zone that they've set up across some of these lanes. Look, they've had to put 4 people into the mid lane because they know exactly that's the name of the game.
Of course, one slight problem for Bifrost. If MNM do get to set up caught in a lane or in a river, between bombs and barrels and gin traps and W's, it can be a little difficult to get your run-at-me champions with the Yuumi into range to do stuff. But of course, you still have that Corki, who can be pretty obnoxious from range himself, but that is the assumption, right? It is, speaking of the ranged barrage, Roll Cannon starts throwing some ultimates, I believe, to
it's a wave play. That is a Season 4 Xerath ult. That's where you just use Xerath and Ziggs to just clear out a side lane. Again, they want the map to be constrained. Keep it to a single lane, and MNM have a way to play their comp. Canna looking for something, not going to find it. Bifrost able to disengage. But at least to me, MNM have identified the state of the game and what's working out for them. My worry is, if they don't get to close that portcullis, slam the gates shut, Bifrost have a lot of ways to get in and amongst their team comp, and it only takes one mistake for this game to become very, very fragile for them.
And MNM were in a not dissimilar position. Oh, never mind that. We'll have to talk about that a bit later. As C-Boy taking a lot of poke over the wall. Of course, just the Yuumi on top of him.
I know why you felt particularly... I saw like the gin trap go off, and I was actually momentarily confused. That's a teleport! We've got to fight! I'm like, no, that's actually just a gin.
Just a gin trap, yeah, I know. I was like, ooh, maybe it's not quite enough items yet to make C-Boy's life really
gin trap
dangerous.
Doesn't just like trap your target, it traps the casters too somehow.
Apparently been baited.
Oh, I've been locked inside a Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
That was not the reference as I'm expecting, as Yugi's grandfather makes an appearance in meme form.
Why do card games hurt me, Yugi boy?
Who knows? Ask the mad minds that were behind that manga and anime series. Anyway, to bring it back.
Look, there's only so many times I can say, wow, look at how they're playing on one lane.
I did have a point that's now gone out of my brain. What did I want to say? I don't even know. Okay, well, they're clearly not important then, as Babista forcing Fury out of that bush there. No, I've forgotten it. There you go. We had so far down a tangent that my reasonable, salient, really normal point has gone.
We can slowly start to re-rail this train, as there is a dragon in 30 seconds.
We do.
Which is actually quite important.
Very much so.
Item spikes to talk about as well, particularly on that gangplank. So much farm, so much ability to push down those solo lanes. As Babista has a collector, that's really important, because you know that Yuumi is going to be keeping people topped up if you don't actually finish them off. I don't mind the collector here because it plays against the composition identity of Bifrost.
Also, Babista has got an Executioner's Calling, which means with the barrels and the cannon barrage, he has an easy way to apply debuff and healing onto a lot of people who will be doing that.
Tower dive available.
Yeah.
They find the angle right now. Just going to get chunks down. But
oh my lord! And that'll be Michigan who's just gone down. The package comes out and is delivered. Fury now stepping forward. There's the moment you needed. Two items on Corki. Oh my days! And instead he was going to take one mistake. Fury forces it so damn hard. Zeri beginning to hop around. The lightning crashes come through. Yes, there's a heal on Babista, but he just can't get enough dumb. He will resurrect. He'll kill off the Zeri, but he's in between three people. Collector or not. Now it's on to the Baron. And MNM, it happened on Monday versus, the opponents they were playing there, and they lost to Vikings Jarvan in the late game to Dusty. It's another mid-game fight which goes against them. They get absolutely deleted by Bifrost.
I don't think we were talking loud enough, Sam. I think we didn't mention enough that it only takes one mistake. This is very much a, I hate to use the word tempo, but you want to stay ahead of the curve. You need to make sure you're wearing down the enemy, because once you lose a hold on the game, you don't really get to bring it back that easily. At least MNM get themselves onto Soul Point. That's their lifeguard right now. That's their lifeboat, because that's the one way you can force Bifrost to fight on your terms, which is exactly the opposite of what happened here. Michigu, for the first time as a carrier of one of these MNM players in this game, steps out from the phalanx. Stax stands beyond the castle walls, gets cut down. You suddenly lose a lot of your DPS. Now, Odie gets a bit happy here, and of course with the ultimate being put down very quickly from Babista, from Dr. Chaos onto Babista, turns things around. That gangplank does pay back the advantage which it had in terms of at least shutting down that one carry, but this is still a catastrophic fight from the side of MNM.
And literally 2 items on Corki and your carries disappeared. That was the break point is here. And that was brutal to watch. And I don't know what ill omen it is. I don't know what they upset, what happened in their fates to make this happen. But it's the same place as it was on Monday where they lost, where someone got caught out in that very same space.
Seems has a
sense of irony.
So C-Boy going to push in to get some of that extra vision. And now this is really dangerous now from the side of MNM. You are losing turrets. You are losing your presence on the map. You do have wave clear. That's your one saving grace right now. It's going to be hard for Bifrost to close out the game. They do have this Baron bush, but it's probably going to take another Baron for them.
C-Boy has
lucky enough to escape.
Does have his ultimate force though, and that could potentially be dangerous. Of course, you can see Babista is facing off on a 1v2 against Fury and Shikari in the top lane, trying to hold on best he can. Of course, at this point, with 3 items complete, does have a fair amount of wave clear, so can at least try to hold this tower by themselves.
But this is a very down one style of play. You put yourself you limit the amount of lanes you're playing on so you don't get picked off in a 1-3-1. Now, MNM do have the ability to close down one lane, but the Yuumi is holding the volley bear at prey. You do have the extra move speed. You have a lot of ability yourself to try and escape from that rampaging bear. Now, let's see if there's going to be a topside collapse. You can see the MNM team moving up there, but with the empowered recalls, Bifrost, they take themselves a chunk off the top tower and they get out.
They do. C-Boy has managed to shove up the bot wave, but I don't know whether he'll be able to secure it. And actually, in fairness to MNM, they've managed to hold on relatively well in terms of preventing too much tower damage.
This is exactly why I said, okay, right, this is going to be big for Bifrost setting up the map, but you're unlikely to finish the game with this. This is probably going to now, as this game, last until another Baron, because you need that to break the base. Maybe it's going to be a big enough fight. Mishigu, oh my word. What the hell, Fogo?
Fury, that's what happened, but now he's going to get to pull off the curtains. He's going to try and trade out. Here's Fury in turn, takes a massive trade. Oh my days, Jules just deleted.
He's deleted because he gets caught by a straight double bomb. Gets locked out of their own W, and a momentary mistake on one side to the other. MNM find a way to break the tension. That's going to be the end of this push. They've stalled out this huge phase of play from Bifrost.
Royal Cannon as well nearly got a hold of Fury with the Arcane Barrage to follow up, forced out a lot of his HP bar as well, and you can see the amount of range that MNM do have when they start popping those R buttons can be very deadly. It's just when those buttons are down in the standard phase of play where it gets a bit more challenging, but the later this game goes, the shorter those cooldowns are, and the more they can keep doing this.
For sure. So MNM, again, once they do commit a lot of their cooldowns to the same target, yeah, there is a lot of threat. You can start shutting people out before that Yuumi comes online. But this time, of course, it was the Yuumi kind of getting caught out by the unlikeliest of causes. You see the bombs flying, just a lapse in judgment as Duel. We've had so much praise for over this split. Needs to tighten that up as we come into later game team fights, because again, this is actually a very mistake-oriented game. You can wait as both of these teams to wait for one of those mistakes, and again, you know what, that slow lands there, what could happen? Wave play coming in both parts.
5-5 in kills. It's about 1,000 gold in favor of MNM. Tower over to them, but it's so close at this point of the game. It's a minute now until what would be Mountain Soul for MNM. They've reset, they've come back onto the map. They're now gathered in mid lane, wondering if they have the way to get into this bot side river where Bifrost lurk, where they haunt the bushes, trying to find some way of getting a pick.
Ari looking for his first real entry into this game as well. Largely been relegated to those side lanes, same as Babista, and that's very much favored MNM. Of course, MNM trying to stop the 5-man group coming up to from that side as well. Fury fishing for poke, takes some of his own. Does have a Yuumi to help him out in that regard.
Call it out as well. Dr. Chaos gone for that Oblivion Orb. Got another way to get AoE debuffs in terms of the healing down as well, which is going to be so important at this point in the game. 3 items on Corki, worth calling out. Not the Infinity Edge complete for Babista, though, which would be another big moment.
Rockets are running out from Fury, firing them on cooldown, not landing that much. Actually,
what's the package?
Using the package, Fury not getting great value out of the Corki in the entry to this fight.
But it's also going to be the ultimate down from Mishku, which could be problematic. It's one of those big tickets. Now, Fury being jumped on. He's gone so deep. They're going to get so much damage onto that guy. They killed him. He's gone. The Cannon Barrage secured it. Corki is dead, but look at the rest of the fight. Shikari trying to get into double for Babista. The Gangplank might not be on a 0% win rate for much longer. Canna doing so much damage at the back end, but it does mean the jungler is falling. Yuumi flashes out for that final Arcane Barrage. The right of the Arcane won't secure that final sacrifice. And now MNM want to secure this Mountain Top, but remember, C-Boy is still around. There There is no teleport on Fury when he respawns, but he's still dead for 30 seconds, as is Shikari.
Smite. Odie doesn't have the
He's
ult,
slowed.
does have a ghost.
The time warp come through so fast as Babista stepping forward. So much damage for the trial by fire. Turning around, trying to kill him, and they get the shot down. But he's killed back in tone. Odie has got the Zumi behind him. Gonna go over the wall. He's in 1v3. Gonna get so much damage down with the burst. Fire, drain back. My day, the bop and block took so much work. Deadly Flourish won't quite land. And the dragon, being started. This is still so point. It is a 2v2.
For so long, that teleports are going to start coming in right now. The solo lanes from Bifrost, they die at the start, so they get to come back. Soul delayed from the side of Bifrost. They take it away from MNM. And once again, we're reset. MNM, they gave themselves that lifeline. They gave themselves a way to force Bifrost onto an objective, and they find themselves half of a good fight. Just couldn't quite close it out.
Let's see that again, because the moment Fury died, I thought they had this. The moment they stopped Shikari getting things done, I thought they had this. It just doesn't work.
And a lot of it, for me, comes from the Corki not really getting valued. That's about, you know, one in every 5 rockets hitting. Force of the package early, gets soloed out by Cannon, not able to commit that DPS as much, and then with the battle of the divers happening on both sides, that works out handily in the side of MNM's favor. Yes, they end up losing the volley bear towards the end of it, but they force out a lot of extra defensive abilities too. It's really this second part where things get a bit crazy, because if you start to try and reset this at this point, yes, you have the numbers advantage, but one team has a UV. You have that ability to regen back up, and Babista just doesn't track the Zeri. Zeri shuts them down, and then this is, shall we say.
Yeah, and then Odie just about getting out as well at the end of that, and that was inches away from being a great play. You can see why they wanted to kill the jungler, because they had the smite disadvantage. They're going to run in anyway. Seaboy in trouble, get stunned in place. They're going to back out. That's the cannon barrage used, though not a huge amount of value. Look at the poke coming through. They've got the chrono shift down. Big rocket come through, but look at the damage back, though, from Babista, who has now stayed alive, but needs to be afraid. Needs to watch out for the needlework. Doesn't quite land. Avoids the Ultra Shock Shaler laser, but they've killed off one. It's in trade for Seaboy. Both junglers dead. Michigo to the backside. Why is he there? And that will be the man dead. The Arcane Barrage won't secure anymore. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Bifrost, but both junglers are dead.
The game's really opening up now. Bifrost come back with some of that gold, which they ended up earning from that hard-fought team fights. And MNM, this is kind of the problem, that they do have the damage to deal with these carries. They just can't land it all at once. You can see another replay. Seems like we're just hopscotching between them. Kanna goes in. Kanna only finds the Xin Zhao that has the ultimate, and it's not this time the Corki was just shut down. The rockets land this time. You do have that extra DPS. Royal Cannon not able to impact this fight, still has the ultimate, but at this point, you know, all of your big gateway holders for this side of MNM have had to take a step back, and there's so much more room for Bifrost to find a way to flit in between the edges.
2 stop charges there from Shikari and Fury, saving the lives from Arcane Barrages there. Of course, still in a space where the Baron doesn't go down, there's no dragon, so actually it doesn't lead to all that much, and you're still dealing with a 4-item gangplank. The Void Staff now picked up from Xerath. It's a rapid fire in from Jhin. They are having more and more ways to trade back against a lot of this poke, and level 16 has been hit by both Royal Cannon and Babista, who's actually over at 17. The ultimates from these guys are not on long cooldowns anymore.
But this is still a close affair, and again, this victory would mean a lot for MNM. If they lose here, just a reminder, they actually draw level with the likes of Nariki, who are now at 4 and 6 as well. This middle of the pack has been so congested. Long gone are the days where we thought it was as simple as an Elite Four. It's just not the case here in the NLC. These teams, they love to scrap with each other. They take a bite out of each other, and Bifrost have been held accountable for much of this game through MNM. They find themselves in an advantage, but MNM are not done yet.
So fast. They get onto Seaboy, but again, he's got ways out. They're going to try and turn it back around. That is still the Crescent Guard popped, and Kanna is probably going to be okay here. They're going to teleport in with Babista. But I think they're okay having traded that, because Kanna's still got his ultimate. He's going to heal up just fine. And you might now be able to pick off this Xin Zhao if he dares walk up a little too aggressively.
Also now burn the Yuumi alternates, not long cooldown, so the other one will be back up if MNM choose to commit to a fight. But the Zeri ult and Ghost are down, much less mobile. Let's go for round
flash
2.
into Seaboy, takes a lot of damage. That's a cannon barrage while doing so much work on a Seaboy, who's stunned in place. Does not quite fall, does eventually get picked up by the Collector. Shikari now flashing out, but they've killed the jungler. Babista stepping forwards. He's so damn fast as well. Now can Bifrost do anything to stop Flurry? flying forwards with the Valkyrie to try and get something more. But with the jungler dead and the man advantage, MNM can head back towards this Baron and try to secure it. But they are still low. They're still into poke. It could get risky.
Let's see how high these barrels stack. That's going to be about the zone control. Shikari now with the Yuumi on top of them. Not had a chance to shine this game. Mishigu looking to shut them down.
Just do a fair amount of damage. The Arcane Barrage back off, cooldown. One final auto would do it. Not quite enough. Duel back onto Odie. On about no HP, but the Galactic gets it with the burn. And that means the Yuumi is dead, but Canna caught off in the middle of nowhere, stunned onto Fury, but he is dead. And we've seen what happens when junglers die before, as Fury takes so much damage in trade. There's no way to heal back up, aside from, of course, some autos with that Ravenous Hydra. Needs to find a camp, needs to find a wave. 20 seconds until Mountain Soul. But Seaboy is alive, and Canna was picked.
So what started out as a pitched battle becomes just an all-out brawl. Fury just about lives, and that is so crucial. It does mean that the Corki going to be much less eager to commit to a fight like this. Cannon Barrage actually not that far off cooldown. MNM fighting tooth and nail for the soul, which they really desperately have fought for so much of this game.
And 10 seconds on Canna, 3 on Duel, but neither here at the beginning. The smite advantage is Bifrost's. What do MNM do? If they give this Dragon, they'd actually be against Soul Point themselves. They're starting off, and Seaboy needs to be accounted for. He needs to be stopped. He needs to be zoned out.
As a flash, it's going to be hard to do it.
He's secured it. That was a mistake, potentially, for MNM. They're going to try and turn it around now. Flashing from Bissa, but it's outside the Crescent Guard that he gets that damage. They still kill him afterwards.
Oh my God!
Look at Odie! They're all here! And now they're going to start running it down, and MNM have overstepped. Odie starts crashing down with the lightning. It's a double to Zeri, and now they can move to Baron. They might even just be able to end the game.
Unless we forget, we had 2 games where Corki left the stage, was not present, but Fury brings it back with aplomb, lands the damage in the crucial team fight. You've got Canna trying to kill a wave on the side, looking for an angle, but Corki finds them out again. And Bifrost, it takes them a long time. It takes them 6 dragons, no soul claimed. They're running down in the Nexus.
They're going to try. It's 15 seconds on Mishigu. It's Canna against the world. He's going in with the Stormbringer. I just don't think he has what it takes. No stopwatch, no hope. And he dies again. He died being picked off before 2 critical soul fights. And unfortunately, Bifrost do secure the win. But my days, what a close back and forth game. They move to 8-2.
We really just don't have free games here in the NLC. This is